Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I'm happy to see you in this video and in this live session. I want to show you something that could genuinely change how you work or how you earn using AI. And we are talking about agentic AI workflows. That is the actual AI systems that can research, write, and decide and act all by themselves on your behalf. So let's dive into this particular presentation. Now, the agentic AI market is sitting at around $8 billion right now, and by approximation and also by a lot of speculations that by 2030, this projection shows that it will put AI market at 40 to $50 billion, and by 2027, half of all major enterprises will be running some form of agentic systems. That means one thing for you. There is a massive opportunity for anyone who knows how to build a system. As you can see in the very first quarter of 2026, um, almost all AI companies are building the same tool. It is either you're building coding models, you're building multimodal, focusing and then refocusing and so on. And we can see that in the first quarter of 2026, Anthropic was leading, and now, in the second quarter, OpenAI has catch up with it, and but almost they're building the same product, the same type of things. Previously, OpenAI is not so much on the focus. Now they are much on the focus. Anthropic was so much on the focus, and now they are on focus in building other tools. So let's look at it. So think of traditional automation like building a railway tracks, by hand. That means we're automating the process of transport. Then you lay every rail yourself. It works until something unexpected happens. So that's agentic workflow for you. So agentic workflows but are much different. Instead of laying every rail, you tell a construction crew, you get me from here to there. So then they handle the engineering. If they hit a problem mid building the stuff, then they figure it out themselves, and then they revealed or they rectify what are those issues. So that's what this agentic workflow does to you. So when we look at this side by side in terms of how these workflows work, we can see that when you work with traditional systems when it comes to AI, such as in Zapier, you map every single manual step yourself. You have to mark, you have to fix all of the notes that needs to work together. And there are potential, possibilities that this would break unexpectedly or may require manual debugging, and these structures are mostly static, does not improve on themselves, and maintenance cost at your time is way high. But when it comes to agentic, for example, using Cloud Code, you describe the goal using a prompt, English like, and then the agent handles the edge cases, and then when it's encountered issue, it self-corrects itself and update its own tool, and it improves on every run. And when you build it once, it's going to continue to improve on the long run. So that's what we are talking about when we say agentic workflows. So when we look at these two things, agentic workflows, um, are those systems that you need to track, you need to handle them, or you need to provide an agent to handle them. Now, I want to be straight with you because there are a lot of hypes online that makes agentic workflows sounds like pure magic. It's not a magic, right? Here is the honest truth. While you are actively building this kind of system. And while Cloud Code is sitting right there with you, the self healing is very real and very powerful. The agent catches mistakes, adjusts its approaches, and updates its own tool, and it keeps on going. But once you deploy that workflow, the workflow runs automatically on a schedule. At that point, you are running a compiled code and tools. not to the live agent. It behaves more like a traditional automation. And honestly, that's the good thing. So production automation should be predictable. The real agentic advantage, lives in the build process itself. So it is just dramatically faster. It become faster. It become also more smarter. So that's one important aspect of this. When it comes to working with agentic workflows. So before we build anything, I want to introduce you to an architecture, and this architecture is called the what framework. That is workflow, agent, and tools. You cannot have an automation workflows without having, agentic workflows without having the agent, without having the tools, without having the workflows. So you have to build all of that yourself, which is very, very important. So workflows are plain text markdown files, .md files that you need to. You can read every line and understand exactly what is happening. Let's say you are building, and especially in this session, we are going to build a newsletter automation. Let's say I'm building a newsletter automation, and the workflow, says step one, research the topic. Step two, you generate the infographics, the images, and all of that. Then assemble that in an HTML, and then wait for my approval. And then as soon as I approve it, then you can set it to my mailing list. So you can see that's 5 steps, and we're going to see an example of that later on. Okay, so you need the workflow. You need to write plain English markdown files with the step by step, the recipe. If it is whatever you want to do, maybe you are into cooking, you can plan a recipe. You can ask the agent to go and search for a recipe for a particular dish, provide step by step on how to prepare it. And once it's okay with you, so that's the kind of workflow. It is a step by step instruction of what happens at what time, right? And then the agent, yeah, the agent is Cloud Code itself. It reads these workflow files, the MD files, and decide which tool to run to perform a particular task that was mentioned in terms of the workflow. Right. So, in what order should this be run, and how to handle any problem that may come or that may arise in the process of doing that. So, those are some of the things that really had to take place. Now, then because I mentioned the tools, but the tools comes much later after Cloud Code being the agent has created the workflows, and then it applies or it identify which tool is to be used. So tools are executable files. You execute those files or you execute commands. Those are tools. Tools are not like the flyer, the scissors, no, these are executable files, that do the real work. For example, it could be a Python script, right, that calls the Perplexity API, and a script that sends an email, via Gmail, or a script that writes a Google Sheet. So without tools, workflows are just mere words and sentences and phrases, right? So without the workflow giving the structure, tools are just useless ingredients sitting in just a drawer. For example, you can have the curry, you can have the thyme, you can have the seasoning and all of that, but you have the pot, you have water. But if you don't know how to make dali so, or when you don't know how to make the biryani chicken, then you cannot prepare anything. So that workflow, that cookbook, that process, step by step process, you need to on the gas, you need to get the water inside the pot, you need to use the seasoning, this ounce of salt and curry and all of that. So that is the workflow. The agent is yourself trying to do all of this. You use the tool, you use the workflow to prepare that particular soup. So that's it. So what's beautiful about Watt framework is that the agent improves both the workflows and the tools over time. Let's say, for example, as it is doing that, you're giving it feedback, it discover that in the workflow there are issues, there are things that has to be done. So the agent itself, the agentic model, can now self improve the workflow itself and then identify additional tools that will make it more efficient. So that's how, I mean, that's why this particular framework, is very amazing and it's beautiful. So it learns something and it updates its own file automatically, and the system genuinely gets smarter and get better. So that's what we're talking about. So let me download the wordcloud.md template. I'm going to provide the link in the description and show you how to start this project from scratch. And I think that's what we are going to be doing. Okay, so let's us get our hands dirty and let's see what we're gonna do. But before we do that, there are things that we need to do. First of all, we have to go through the setup process. Number one, we have to install Cloud Code in our VS Code. VS is Visual Studio Code. It can be in any IDE, that is integrated development environment that you have, whether Cursor, anti gravity. Now it's one good tool. So which is an AI IDE by Google. So one thing, if you prefer as beginner, you can just start with Visual Studio. You can download it from code.visualstudio.com. So I've already have Visual Studio in my case. So I'm going to bring up Visual Studio to the screen. So let's do that. Um, So very importantly, let us do the setup as it should be done. Fantastic. So now now we have our Visual Studio. So this is my Visual Studio. So the next thing after you get onto Visual Studio, what you need to do, you need to go to the extension. So on the left hand side you can see this icon. This is the extension, and when you come onto the extension you'll see different extensions that are here, those install and those that not install. So simply what you need to do, if you don't see it, just search Cloud Code. That's what you're going to do. So in my case, I have Cloud Code installed. So we're going to see that, for example, here. So in your case, you will see install. So click on install. So mine, it's currently being installed. So we will give it a few moments and it should be done. Okay, so in our case, we already have it. So we're going to create an empty project. So let us create an empty project. We're gonna open a folder, and in my case, I'll go to Hand. I will say Agentic workflow. That's the folder we're going to work with. Okay, so we have our agentic workflows, and now we're going to create. Let me close this chat from the side. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to create our workflow. So I'm going to name it workflow.md. Okay, so this is going to be a workflow file. I'm opening the extension. So this is the extension of the code that we have, and then I'm going to make sure that we are using the right model. The model is being loaded. So our model would be Sonnet 4.6. I'm not going to use Office 4.7 because I have used it today, so I don't want to actually use of all my tokens. So simply what we need to do now is we can copy and paste the actual workflow.md. So I already prepared this, so I'm just going to go there, and then we are going to copy the workflow. So this is the workflow, and then we are going to paste that in the workflow.md. So this is actually the workflow. Like I said, the workflow is just a text file .md, that is markdown file, and we have step one, which is to download the VS Code from code.visualstudio.com. Open the extension panel as we did that, or you press Ctrl Shift X and then you search Cloud Code and install. So after you install, you need to log in onto your profile. So, but there are requirements. One requirement is that you need to be on a paid plan on Cloud Code to be able to use this or to be able to do what we're going to do, either Pro plan or Max plan. I'm currently in the Max plan, which is recommended. And then at the end of the day, this is the kind of layout that we want. But this is just a process. This is not what we're going to use. So I just paste this one here so that you are able to see what we're going to do. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to create within this folder workflows, tools, and config. So this is what we are going to start doing. So now we're going to ask uh, Cloud Code to create these directories. I will just write prepare this folder as a workflow in this filing system. So let's do this. Let's clear this. I'm going to clear all of this. So let's say, you know, workflows, tools, and config folders. So let's see how clever it's going to be, and then if it's going to do that for us. Okay, so let's just wait a bit. So it's working in the current directory. It has read this file. So it's going to create those folders, and I will allow it. And you can see automatically it has created the config, the tools, and the workflows. And we have an example of workflow.md. So this is just an example. I'm going to delete this because we don't need it anymore. We move it to trash. So the part of the workflows is that so we have this, and you can see Cloud Code has already finished this work. So this is how you use it. It says the config what uses the directory points to workflow directly. Let's run a script dynamically discover tools workflows without hard coding path. So my config system is workflow. So we have example of workflow tools, example Python settings, and we have. So now we're going to now design our workflow. So I can actually, ask Cloud Code to do all the setup for me, by describing what I want. I want to have a newsletter, workflow, and so on and so forth. But those are some of the things that we can actually do. But then our project is to do this. So let us now do the configuration. So cloud.md, it's one file that always when you are trying to start the project, it reads the configuration from there. So every time you message the agent, it reads that file first. It always knows the context, the rules, and the folder structure. So we are going to copy this, all right, and then based on this output. Okay, so pardon me. So let us just do that. So this is our how we want our cloud.md, and we are going to add not in this folder, unfortunately. So we want to add here cloud.md, but it is now sitting in the workflows. I want it in the main. I want it to be in the parent folder. So I'm going to move it, right? And then I am going to paste that particular thing. Okay, so right now you can see we said our project is newsletter automation. That's what we want to do. And then the framework we want to implement is what? Workflows, agent, and tools. And this is the folder structure. Workflows, which we already have, where we have the markdown step-by-step instruction. And then tools, we have another one where we need to have the Python executable script. And then config, this is where settings recipient list is going to sit. Brand asset, this is where we can have our brand, such as logo, guidelines, PDF, and so on and so on. So we can have all of that. And then we will have .env, that is an environment file. But there is a caution here: never commit this into your GitHub or into your any version control systems. Then data, this is where all the research outputs and the archives are going to be stored. So this is just an instruction that we are telling Cloud, because it will read this whenever we ask it to perform a task. This is the very first file that is going to read. Okay, so just to zoom for better visuals, and then we can see now agent behavior. These are the rules. Always read the relevant workflow file first. So even though it will read this first, but we are instructing it to go and read the workflow.md. Okay, so I'm going to rename this. Pardon me. I'm going to rename instead of example workflow, I'll just leave it as workflow.md. So always read the workflow file after fixing any error, update the tool file. So if it had encountered error and then it resolved it, it will update the tool file to make sure that that error will not occur again. So that is how beautiful this process is. So then all the secret API keys are going to be kept inside .env. All right, so we're going to do that. So let's create .env file. .env, this is a configuration file, right? So we have created that. We're going to work, we'll come back to it later. Okay, then if you're unsure, ask me before you, so it will ask you if it's is not sure about any of this process you've mentioned, it will come back to you seeking for clarification. Because if you do not put this instruction, it will just assume and then do whatever it wants to do. So in your case, you need to ensure that you put this caveat for the agent to, if the agent is unsure, instead of deciding what to do, let the agent ask you, and then you provide feedback, and then it does that. And then the text tags we're going to use for research, we're going to use Perplexity API. I don't even have the API myself for Perplexity, so we're going to do that together. In writing the code, we're going to use, Claude. And then when it comes to writing, and then, but perhaps also we'll be using, um, OpenAI. So let me edit that. OpenAI API. We may be using that, and then images key.ai for image generation. Perhaps also we will use OpenAI image 2.0. Perhaps we're going to use that, not very sure. Then delivery Gmail API, archiving in Google Sheet. So we're going to all see that. Okay, so we're going to do that together. So let's see, what do we need to do? And so the next thing that is very important is that, apologies. So the next thing is that you need to ensure that before you start building, okay, you go on plan mode. So you need to design before you build. So switch cloud code to plan mode, things, ask questions, and present. All right. So we're going to use this particular prompt. Okay. So I already have this prompt somewhere. So I'm going to now copy that particular prompt. Okay. So, but we're going to switch to plan mode, and this is it. Okay. So we're going to do that. Now, Instead of that, so we will now switch to plan mode. Let's click on plan mode, and then we can do clear conversation, and then we can we'll now say plan mode, and then we paste our prompt. So it could be just simple English. Hey Cloud, I want to build a newsletter automation. I give you a topic, you research it, structure it in HTML, create infographics, and send it via Gmail. What tech stack do you suggest, and what have I missed? So let's go with that. So let's wait for. So it's now thinking. It is now trying to explore the existing code base. Okay. However, we don't have the workflow, how we want the workflow to work. So it is just trying to see what it is going to do. We technically don't have anything. Okay. So let's see if it's going to be clever. Let's see how clever is going to be, how innovative cloud is going to be. So, ladies and gentlemen, while we do that, drop your comment, drop your questions. I'll be able to answer your questions later on. So, we're just waiting for it. My network is a little bit sluggish, so it's taking time to come back. So, you can see the project is clear skeleton, everything needs to be built. So, it's now going to design the full implementation. Okay, so the implementation plan is coming up. So let's see. Mm-hmm. You're just waiting for it to finish. So while we wait, we do some commercial break. So this video is not sponsored by anybody. So, but looking forward. Okay, Cloud Code is still working. The network is a bit sluggish. So I guess that's why it's taking the model time to come up with that. Ordinarily, it should not take this long before it's able to come up with a complete plan on how to build a new Slater automation. So, but please drop comment if you want us to automate any other thing. Drop it, and we're going to vote for three I mean, ideas or what you think we should automate next, and then we will do it. That's a better use case. Mandarin cloud code is Mandarin compilation. So I like how Anthropic were able to do this. So instead of you to be bored waiting for the model to respond, you have millions and thousands of words that are being shown up here with icon, fontifying, biving. I really like that. My vocabulary is being built a lot. Whenever I'm using Cloud Code, I come across different words that I have never had before. English is my second language. Yeah. So, or raveling, wrangling. Wow. The agent is still wrangling and imagining. So, well, the words you're seeing here have no relation with what it's doing at the background. Okay, so excellent. With Blin, so it has done a lot of research and now it's going to write the plan and it will summarize right because I have a skeleton project. So I missed a lot. So this is how you kind of get an agent to help you do a lot of stuff. Fantastic. I like the way it is taking its time, trying to research to come up with an excellent plan. So it has done an excellent research, as Claude could mention, right? So now, um, hummingbird.md. So it has written the plan. So this is what it's going to tell me. So let's see what it has actually done. So what is a clean separation of concern. So let's see what do we have. I'm not gonna accept it yet, but let us first of all read what we have. So let's read together. What framework is a clean separation of concerns? Workflows define what happens, that is the orchestration. Then tools define how it happens, that's the implementation. And the agent wires them together. At runtime, this makes each piece independently testable. So CSS aligning is non-negotiable for Gmail. So will render as a plain text with no layout. So the biggest hidden complexity in this project is Gmail OAuth 2. It requires one-time interactive browser consent before any automation can work. This must happen before the first automated send. Good. I'm open for that. We're going to do that. So here's what I found and what you've missed. Your stack is solid. Perplexity, Cloud, OpenAI images, Gmail, Google Sheet is a good pipeline. The missing pieces are we don't have the git ignore, which is very critical so that we don't kind of commit.env plus our OAuth tokens. Then agent.python doesn't exist. Nothing orchestrates the tools, the templates are not there. No unsubscribe mechanism, which is legal. Image embedding strategy undefined. No dry room preview mode. So, and it has given it all in terms of severity. Now, one decision needed before it builds. Now, how should the hero image be embedded in Gmail? So, number one, Google Drive URL recommended small email size, reuse your OAuth, no extra hosting. Then base 4 inline C player, no hosting, but email become 600 kilobytes more and are more likely to be spam filtered. Very good. That's it. You're right. So let's see the entire plan. This is the plan, and it is waiting for me to review the plan. Number one, I will write a topic, then the newsletter will be sent. Okay. So, but it's empty. I don't have the workflow. I only have the folders. Okay. Now, agents will read this, dispatch the tool, and every tool has contracts to run. So one will do the research. Now, no official Python SDK use required. Then writing, we need Anthropic Claude Sonnet 4.6 via official image, OpenAI, HTML render, delivery, and all of that. So what I've missed, these are the things I've missed. So this is a complete plan. So now, open consent that we have, I'm just going to accept the plan, but I need to answer that question in terms of uh, so it's going to build the workflow, it's going to build all the things. So I'm just sit back and relax and enjoy the ride. Okay. So it's going to create the git ignore and put all the config, you see, so that env, all of those things are now mentioned that they should not be committed. So it has done that, it has checked it out. Then it is now going to create the requirements and update the config file. So the requirement, we need Anthropic, OpenAI, Python, and all of those things. So it has put that as a requirement. Now it is going to finish that up and then create the directory structure for the templates, brand assets, data, images, archive. So let us just wait for Cloud Code. So the agent is building the entire workflow for us. It's going to be automated automatically. So we're going to see how that is going to build out. Okay, so it has built the archive. It has now brand assets. It's not there yet. Recipient, this is where we're going to write the recipient. Okay, this is where we're going to write the recipient. This is the settings. Okay. Uh, s- so, but before we do that, I'm gonna go here. I'm going to update my email. I'm going to use my just a test email, right? Okay, so we have that. We don't need to have that open again. So we're going to have some emails that we're going to send out to. So what else? After configure data, the images are going to be stored here. Templates empty, so still working. Let's see where it is. So now it is going to launch the code tools, three of them in parallel to work, and then they are working that on that. Fantastic. So while that is ongoing, let's go to Perplexity. And then we're going to log in onto Perplexity. Right? My network is sluggish. So we're going to go through the onboarding. So I'm going to onboard myself on Perplexity. The network is too slow. Okay, let's go with the I don't know whether I need to provide my card. It's taking time. Okay. I'm going to go to account. Let's go to API. Let's check our build. Wow, almost there. It's right in our workflow. So our newsletter workflow is there. So step by step process is all there. Good. So we're going to continue. Let's get perplexity. So we're going to provide all of those things. Okay. So this is the real workflow that we want. So I'm going to replace already. It has come up with its own workflow. Okay. So we're going to go with that workflow. However, it has built everything, and here is the compiled structure. So how to run our first newsletter? We need to pip install requirements, which is good. So we can do that. Let's start up a terminal. We can start up a terminal to do that. We're going to install all the requirements. Okay, now it needs all our EMV API keys to be there, which we need to do, right? We need to actually log in onto our Google OAuth. We need to do a lot of stuff. So these are the things that we need. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to create a file, just keep it here for future. We're going to use it. Okay. So these are the research executors. We're not going to use that because we already have them here. So example or auth setup, we have everything here in that Cloud Code has already done that for us. So I think we are good. So I don't need to worry too much about that. It's still downloading Primera. So while it does that, we will go back to search API. That's what we want. Okay, not agent API. So we do newsletter search. Um, well, we'll use a country for the billing, and then we will continue. Nope. We can add credits, minimum 50 USD. We can add payment method. Okay, so it's not coming up. Let's wait the network. So instead of using perplexity for even the research, we're going to use OpenAI. Okay, so let's say we will now use OpenAI API for research instead of perplexity. Okay, so it should just do that for us. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and get the API key from open AI for this. So I'm going to hide my screen for now. Okay. So let me get that open AI API. So I'm going to get that. The network is too slow. Okay, it's toggle downloading all of these different tools that we need. Don't know why it's taking a lot of time. So I'm going to give it a name, newsletter API, and then we'll create the squid key. We have it now, and then okay. So let's copy it again. So we have OpenAI API. We have my email. I'm going to do that. Have that. A topic API. I'm not sure we cannot use that. Okay, so I'm going to bring back my screen. So I'm done with all the sensitive information. Okay, so apologies, you're not able to see my screen. So yeah, fantastic. Okay, I think we're good. Right. All right, so we will just wait. So this is what we're going to do, right? First of all, we're going to research the topic. Okay. We're going to generate three infographics. We're going to have the email. We're going to review it, and then we're going to send, and it will be archived. So those are the things. Okay. So don't mind about all of this. So this is where we're going to now start doing. So let us write a newsletter. So we're going to do that, but let's check out if it has finished. Okay. So open AI. Yeah, so that's what we are going to use to research and use all of that. So, but you can see that those tools are still being downloaded. It's taking time because the network is not favorable to us. So we just continue to do the setup while that is ongoing. All right. Okay, so we'll continue to wait. Apologies, the network is not favorable to us today. Still taking time. So while that isn't going, let's enjoy this music. Credits go to Bilal Villa and Nazira Sarakin Waka.
Exclusive from bodyloaded.com.ng. Bravo Master. Abin da nake nema Allah ya bani, matsaloli na da yawa Allah ya yanke, da abinsu nake nema ran sha mamaki, yanzu na samu sosai Allah na gode, every barara yanzu suna makara, ni kuma nai tazara mun bar su da shan wahala. Cikin wannan duniyar daure in har ka tara, in har ka tara more Allah zai kara. Gumina ne wannan wasa farin girki, in za a yi girkin da akwai katon aiki. Kuma menene kuma yaran kirki, shi yaran kirki da akwai ban mamaki. Wow, 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 wow. Ni na daina tunanin kowa, na daina faɗa don kowa, na daina bari don kowa, dan ni na shiga rigar goga billa gida-gida, dan na zama dan gida, koda a cikin gida mai gidan ma na da uban gida. Babu abun da ba su yi mana ba, mene ba su ce mana ba, zagi ta uwa ta uba, amma kuma mun ci gaba. Na yi da ko kuma na yi banjo, na yi kallon barkono, na sai da kaza da kaza, kuma na yi daukar hoto. Cikin wannan duniyar daure in har ka tara, in har ka tara more Allah zai kara. Gumina ne wannan wasa farin girki, in za a yi girkin da akwai katon aiki. Kuma menene kuma yaran kirki, shi yaran kirki da akwai ban mamaki. Wow, 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 wow. Ore, 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 exclusive from bodyloaded.com.ng.
Yep. So we're still
Exclusive
waiting
from
for it to finish. Continue to enjoy the
bodyloaded.com.ng.
music while we're looking at the image tool. So let me explain some of the things that are
Bravo
happening
Master.
here. So let's do that. So if you take a look here, so let me explain some of the things we are seeing here. So if you look at the image tool, right? So this particular tool is going to generate a hero image. So hero image is that image you see at the top, at the top of the banner, and it's going to use GPT, OpenAI GPT image, and it was going to download the results locally and then upload it to Google Drive for email embedding, and then it's going to return a stable public URL, okay, and the local path. So this is what this tool is doing. It's a Python script. It's going to import JSON serialization, OS, UUID, path lab. So in terms of getting the path of the image and all of that. The request.env is going to load the local.env file, is going to get the OpenAI API key and all of that. So, and then maximum email width is going to be 600 pixels for the image, right? So then we have retry logic here. The retry logic here, it means that it is going to retry three times. After three times, it's going to stop. And then, but the minimum retrials is two times, maximum 10, and then it's going to generate image now. So the image, for it to generate image, it will go to OpenAI, that is the client we're using, and you can see here, OpenAI client has been downloaded already on this project, and then the Python .env is downloaded right now. Is Google API Python client is being downloaded. So it's going to use GPT image one model to generate the image, and then the prompt is going to be prompt. Let's see how can we generate using the new GPT model, but not now. So the size is going to be the size that is already defined here based on the string that is provided, which is what 600 pixels, the quality, high quality, and then it's going to return that image. After the image is generated, it's going to download or resize the image, because OpenAI may generate any size of the image. So, but now we have to resize. So this is a particular block of code that does that. It will download a resize URL that we've already gotten. From here is going to be supplied to this function, and then the path where it's going to output the final result. And then before that, because we don't have the directory, we're going to create the directory here. And if the directory exists, then it's going to skip that. The image is going to be in bytes, so we're going to get the size of the image. Then we're going to write that image, and then the image is going to be, if the image width is maximum is greater than the email width, which is 600 pixels, then the ratio, that is the width, is going to be divided, the maximum width divided by the image width, and that is going to be the ratio. And then the new image size is going to be determined by a math function here. Maximum email width is going to be the int of the image height times the ratio, so we are resizing. And now the image is going to be resized with a new size using image likes ZOS, and then image is going to be saved with a format PNG, and then the folder where this image is stored is going to be returned by this function. Then we have another function that is going to upload that image to Google Drive. Remember, we said this after we have created the image is going to be also uploaded to Google Drive. So that's what is happening here. We're going to upload the image to Google Drive and return the public URL for it. And that is exactly what is happening here. We're going to tokenize it, get the path, get the token. The drive version 3 is going to be used, the name of the image, the media is going to be uploaded, and then we're going to make that image publicly readable, and then it will return the public URL of that image. So that's what this function is doing. And then we have another function here which is going to take the dictionary input data in terms of the topic. Then it's going to now build the hint, the style. All right. So, and we can see the style here. It says flat editorial illustration, modern, clean blue, white palette. So that's what it's going to do. We can actually change this type of style hint based on our branding guide if we have it. So it's going to do that for us. But for now, we don't have it. We leave it by default by what uh, Cloud Code was able to come up with. And then if that is no topic, we say that is error, topic is required, you have to provide the topic. And then this is how the newsletter is going to be generated. Initially we're going to generate the newsletter using Perplexity. Now we're not going to do that, we're using OpenAI, and this is the OpenAI client will be called upon here, and we're going to retry, except if there are exceptions, then we're going to catch the exceptions here. Now, this is the prompt, newsletter hero image about. So, this is the prompt, generate a newsletter hero image about, then the topic that we've already imputed there, the style, then it's going to take the style hint that we already have here, which is here, and then because it's stored in this variable, and then no text or typography in the image, just a white banner format suitable for email header. That's the prompt. So this prompt is going to be sent to OpenAI, and then we're going to have that. So those functions are all going to be called here. This is where the real work is happening. We'll not generate the image, we get the local path, download the image, resize it, and then upload back the image to Google Drive, because this is the function that is already defined here. So we're calling it inside this function now. And then after it's been called inside this function, it is going to return the status. Okay, we will have our image locally. We will have it on Drive. We have the original URL, and then if there are exceptions, then it will throw an exception and tell us that there is an exception that is happening there. So this is exactly what is happening here. So let us look at the recipient tool. So the recipient tool, this is where we are going to manage the subscriber lists. Recall we have it here in terms of config recipient. We've now put all our recipients inside this file, and that is exactly what this particular tool is going to use to do that for us. So we're still getting that being downloaded. My network is very sluggish today. Apologies, colleagues, but I'm sure we'll be able to get through this in a few moments. So, well, this is where we'll now list all the subscribers that are going to receive the newsletter. For now, I have only my personal email, which I'm going to use. And then so the recipient path, it is going to go into the config which I showed you, and then it will read the recipient.json, and then it will load the recipient, it will save the recipient, then it is going to run and get actions and those that are active, because we may have those recipients that are not active, they unsubscribe, so it is going, their status is going to be not active. So this is where the real issue is happening. We're going to get subscribers, and then we have some if statement here. If status okay, we have the recipient that is active, we get the count of those that are active, and then else if, here we're going to add the email into the email input, then their name. From that same file we get the name, and then we're going to prevent duplicates. If there are duplicates, we will not skip them. If somebody has unsubscribed, so we're going to eliminate that. We're going to add unsubscribe status there, so we're going to have that. So all of that has been done. So right now we can see all the installs have been completed. Okay, we have filled in our EMB with our API key, and now we need to do the authentication. So we're going to run this code, this command here inside our terminal, and then our terminal is saying that credential client secret.json not found, downloaded from Google Console. So we need to create that. So I'm going to go to Google Console. Let me do that. Google Console. So my Google Cloud Console, I'm going to create that using my own personal profile. Go to my console. So I'm going to create an API key that we're going to use for authentication. It requires one time or auth authentication that we're going to use. Okay, so we're going to do that. So that is exactly what we are going to do. The network is not favorable today. It's taking time to load. Okay, so I'm going to leave it here. Um, oh, oops. Um, well, auth client, I'm going to use this project to do that. I'm going to go to API and auth, so credentials. We're going to do that. Let's get the credentials.
Abinda nake nema Allah ya bani, matsaloli na da yawa Allah ya yanke, da abun nake nema.
Fantastic. So we're going to create a credential. So auth client ID. So you need to get onto Google Cloud and create that for yourself when you are doing automation. So whatever I'm going to create here, I'm actually going to delete it later on. So I'll just leave it with application. I'll give it a name. I'll say Agentic. I'll just say newsletter, and then I'll leave it at that. I'll just create this particular consent. Have client ID, client secret. I'm going to download the JSON file. I'm not going to open it for now. Let's save. So we now have it. Okay. So since I already have it, I need to client secret.json, and then I need to bring it here. So I will go on to my downloads here. I'm going to go to config. So I'm going to paste the file here, but then I am going to rename it so that we have just a shorter name, right? Secret.json. So we're going to run the command again, and then boom. So now something it's happening right now because redirect URL is mismatched. So we can't sign in because we have an invalid request. So obviously we need to actually write down the redirect in the allowed credentials. For example, here, let me go to this one. I'm going to actually delete it. So that we're going to have a valid request coming back to us. So we need to configure that. So, oh, I've clicked a wrong client. So newsletter is our client. Okay. So authorize redirect URL. So that's exactly our problem here. Yeah, so we have redirect URI mismatch. So we need to actually configure that. I'm not sure how to go about it, but this is what we have. So, well, just going to ask Cloud Code to help us resolve the issue. So I'll just take this image, and I will say, okay, um, so let me just resolve. So we have this problem. Okay, so let's see. It will help us to resolve the problem. So this is what it says. This is a error where Google is rejecting because your client set up as a web application instead of a desktop app, the browser base. So now this is what we need to do. We need to recreate the client as a desktop app. Also ensure that the APIs are enabled for Gmail, Google Sheet, and so we need to redo the process. Thank you for telling me that. And then we are going to delete this credential, then create a new credential, pull off. We give it, we select this as a desktop app. Our client is newsletter. Okay, and then we now have our JSON file. I'm going to just copy this and then go to my client secret here and paste this, and we should be good to go. So I am going to now log in. Fantastic. So Google has been verified. Fantastic. Proceed. Um, we have this. Okay. So one thing is that did we actually allow? So that is one thing I'm not sure. So let's actually do that. Um, so we will see. We need to allow for Gmail. Yeah, fantastic. So I can close this window now, and it means token has been saved. Fantastic. We already have our token here. Fantastic. So this is very good. So now the next thing that we need to do after we did off, then the next thing that we need to do, AI healthcare. So we can just do this Python. So let's do AI in healthcare, and we do a dry run. So we do a preview. So let's run this command. So it says topic. Let us increase this so that we are able to read it properly. It says newsletter run for this day, and the AI in healthcare. That is what we said. Number one, newsletter run. You check the date. Topic AI in healthcare. Tune educational. Dry run is true, and we have only one subscriber. And then it is searching the topic. It said it has sent the topic to OpenAI, and we've gotten the response, which is okay. It has going to research key five key points were found. Step two, it is now writing the newsletter via Claude. Let us write I mean update writing of newsletter using same a open AI API. Okay, so it's going to update that because we have some issue here. It couldn't write the newsletter because we don't have Anthropic API as unauthorized. So it's better we just use the one that we already have, which is OpenAI. Okay, okay, it's updating the right tool so that it uses OpenAI instead of Anthropic, which is no longer needed. No longer need Anthropic. Okay, so it has removed Anthropic. It's now using OpenAI. Fantastic. Just read the example, and we should be good to go. So, ordinarily, for you, you have to do the research yourself. You have to write the newsletter. You prepare the content and everything before. And then you put all the recipients and you send it to them. Right now, we have the agent doing all of that for us. Okay. So now let us just wait for it to finish, and then we run the command again, and then done. So the full pipeline is ready for us. Okay, so everything is run on OpenAI. Okay, so let us now rerun the command dry run one active subscriber. Step one, you can see it is now going through step one. Now it has done with step one. We have got a response for key point found. It is now writing the newsletter. Content subject. It has written the subject, but we have some errors and it's going to correct those errors. So this is how you see it has gotten the error. Let us see what it has found. It has generated, it's generating the image. It has generated the image already. The image is here in our brand asset. It's going to save it there. Okay. Image ready. Fallback hero. We don't have it. It's going to do that. Rendering HTML. It is going to do that. Missing token for production choice. So it's going to do that. It has gotten some error. Rebuilding it and done. So it says AI revolutionize healthcare benefit and challenges. It has not sent because we just say dry run. Okay, so and if you want to do the real one, we should not do the dry run. Okay, so let's see the preview. I think we should have a preview here. Okay, so let us open this in our browser. Okay, so open with okay, so let us reveal this in Finder. Let us open it in our browser. So this is how it's going to be. So it has generated the newsletter itself for us. What a fantastic way of doing it. So it says your newsletter, hello Babagana, AI is growing role in transforming healthcare. Artificial intelligence is at the forefront of healthcare revolution, offering transformative benefit from diagnosis to patient engagement. However, this innovation also brings challenges that must be navigated carefully. All of that, the 80%, the key takeaway is there. Stay informed. You can unsubscribe if you want. And so the newsletter is ready. So this is just a preview output. So we can run the same command, but we should not dry run. We should just hit enter. It will just do the research and it will send that email for us. So let's see what is going to happen now. Okay, it is writing newsletter. It has written the newsletter. A closer look. It is now generating the image. So we have some issues, okay, with the image, which I think we can now iterate and correct that. So we will now ask or so we provide it to Cloud Code and see what will be the solution. Okay, so we have some issues. We're going to get it resolved. So you don't have to know exactly how to resolve the issue. You can actually ask the agent to, you know, build it and correct the issues, and then before you do it. So we can see Google Sheet API has not been used in this project. So we need to update that and see that is one of the problems. So we can select this. Let's update. I think we need to enable some of the services to this particular auth. So we just going to wait what needs to be done. And they need to tell us what we need to do. So number one, we need to enable. So we have all of these clients. We need to enable a particular service. So let's enable service.
sha mamaki yanzu na samu sosai Allah na gode yanzu da zai tarara yanzu suna makara ni kuma nai tazara mun bar su da shan wahala cikin wannan duniyar daure in har ka tara in har ka tara more Allah zai kara gumina ne wannan wasa farin girki in za a yi girkin akwai fatan aiki kuma
Let's see
menene kuma
what Cloud is telling us to do, because obviously it's our fault. There are lots of things that we did not do. We go to API and services, we go to library. So let's go to library. Okay. Okay, project. That project. We need to enable Gmail API and Drive API. And then we need to search for Google Sheet API and we need to enable it. Then let's see. Okay. So we have Gmail, for example, Gmail API. We need to enable it. So that should be enabled. We need to go to Drive. We'll go Drive. Which one? Google Drive API. We need to enable that. So after that, Google Sheet, we need to enable that. Sheet, Google Sheet API. This is what we did not do earlier. So that's why we encountered the error. Okay, fantastic. I think we can try that again. Okay, so let us try that again. Let's see what will come out of that. Okay, it has recharged 5 points. It is now writing. There's something I need to update in the workflow. So this is reading all from the. It's reading that from the workflow here. Okay, where we have step 2, for example, it says write. Okay, so that's what it's doing. Step 3 is generating. It has gotten the image because we can see okay. So it's generating the hero image and previews saved here. We're going to see that preview. I think we have the preview earlier on the one of our. So this is the new newsletter. Okay, and one email is sent. So one thing about this is that uh, just archive it. Let's see what we are able to get. Archive. We have the archive. It has archived all the runs, templates, newsletter, base HTML, plain text is there, workflow is there. Okay, so let's go to our Gmail and see what email was sent. Okay, because I did send that email to myself, so I should see that email in my inbox, not in the sent box. So let's wait for Gmail to load. So this is just one example. All right. You can see me, because I'm the one who sent it, how AI is transforming healthcare today. This is the newsletter, and it was all done from what we have. So one key problem that we have is that let's take our drive, okay, and see. So we have seen the newsletter is there, but I did not see the image. We have everything, okay, which is so fine, which is okay. All right, the newsletter is there. However, uh, we need to see if it has generated any image or uploaded any image, because I've not seen any image. Uh, okay, so we have some issues that I identified, but my drive, we didn't have any upload so far. Check the recent. So we don't have anything in terms of that. So let's see what the agent is able to find out. So it's going to now, structure it the way. Okay. So it's trying to convert the image generation. You know, so let's see perhaps image. So we have the image two, we have image one. So we're using image one, just a low cost model to do that. So we're going to allow Python 3 to do that. So let's see what is going to happen. Okay, we're going to allow that. Fantastic. I think it's making a lot of sense. So let us rerun. Let's say instead of AI in care, let's in education. Okay, and see step one. I have some issue. Let's see step one. uh, Okay, it should be in the tools, right? Research. It's sort of you just say how, like, I don't know how. Okay, no problem. Um, Generating hero. Mhm. Let's see, because something interesting is happening. Okay, something interesting. Something interesting is happening. Let's see if we have the fallback. Do we have any image? Oh, fantastic. So this is the image that it has generated. It has sent an email, and we can go back and check our email. Yeah, how AI is revolutionizing education today. And then we have the newsletter, the image that it has generated, and it says transforming the landscape of education. We have gotten a very nice newsletter. Okay, so fantastic. I think, ladies and gentlemen, we're able to achieve something very, very substantial here. Okay, so let's just continue with our slide deck. Okay, because I think we have achieved something very amazing here. Okay, something very amazing. So, technically, what we are talking about right now is that at this moment, everything connects. I What we did was just to type one sentence, the newsletter, then Cloud reads the workflow. So, what we did was using of Python, right? So, actually, we can write any other thing. Okay, I can say I can go back to Cloud and said, write me a newsletter about agentic AI. So let's do that. Let's do clear conversation. So I'll say write me a newsletter about agentic AI. Okay, so doing that, it will do the research, plan the infographics, then when it is an error, you know, it will return. So instead of all the things that we've done in the terminal, we can just avoid that and just use the agent itself directly. But let's see what is going to happen. Automatically, it's going to read the workflow, right? It has read the MD, I mean, cloud.md. Cloud.md has sent it to newsletter workflow, and then it has gone to, you know, to the agent.python. It has read all about what needs to be done. Everything looks good, you know. So it is going to run the pipeline in dry mode so that I can preview before sending it to the subscribers. Okay, so that's what it's going to do automatically after I did check on the dry run. Then it will run it without, and then it will send it. So let's see what we are going to get. We're just waiting for the agent to complete that. I think this is interesting, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. And I hope it's making a lot of sense now. Um, Apologies, I'm just discovering I'm not sharing my screen. Okay, so just type write me a newsletter about agentic AI. It has read the newsletter workflow. Then the workflow tells it to go to agent. It has gone there. It was able to identify what it needs to do. Okay. Now it has loaded all the tools. Then the pipeline run successfully, and here is what happens. It has researched about agentic AI, and it has extracted 5 key points, and then it has wrote the content or lock-in potential of agentic AI. Then it has generated the image. It has rendered and saved that as a preview. So it has sent to this test email. Now it tells me to go and check on my email, but this will be sent to me. Okay. So finally, now, so then, um, so I will say send it. So just this key simple word will now send the real newsletter, and it's going to deliver it to my email. Okay, so we're waiting for it. So we have already automated this workflow. So you can always go back to the workflow. You can always add some instruction, alter it, modify it, how you want that to be done, and then you will get it done. So let's see our email. We're still waiting for that to come. So we will wait for it a bit. In the meantime, we can see the future of autonomous decision making. This is the new newsletter that is going to be sent to my email. So this is just a preview. If it is okay, which is okay for me, and it is now going to send the real newsletter. It's taking time because of the internet, but let's see the images that it has come up with. Now, no problem. So let's check the email. we should have email. Yeah. Exploring the future of agentic AI, the image that it has generated. We have the newsletter here. Boom. So there we go. So we have all that we need now. Then we're going to now continue with our slide deck more specifically. Okay. So now, uh, this is what exactly we expect it to do. Okay. So apologies. Okay. So now we have sent the email, right? And we have sent everything. So you can actually modify it, add your own type of things. But once you've test your workflow, you know, and you test the tools, you ensure that everything is working, you can actually push your project to GitHub. Okay. So you can one thing we can do is that we can just, instead of writing all of this ourselves, we can actually make it to run on autopilot. We can push the project to GitHub, then we can connect it to a scheduling platform, and then we use trigger.dev, for example, and then we define a job, a cron job, a schedule, and then anytime it will just go and run, and then it is going to work with that. Now, here is the pricing principle. So when you have this kind of automated, autonomous automation that you have, then you can actually now build this around your business. So this is, the build itself is not what business pay for it. If you want to make client pay for the product you have built, uh, let's say you can tell a client, if you save, yeah, I mean, you can make a client save $1,000, $10,000, or in naira that's 15 million naira per month, but you can start be charging 5,000 and build this as a no-brainer. So that is one thing. You save the client 10,000 per month, but you charge 5,000, and then the client return on investment will be in 2 weeks. Okay. So instead of you to build, instead of you to say that you build AI automation, so no, but just do this instead. You lead with, I can save you X amount per month, and then you will have the price. Instead of you to price yourself hourly, you place the price on the value of what you deliver, okay, not hours. And then skip all the diagnosis phase. You diagnose the real problem first, and then position as a trusted partner. So that's how you price your agentic workflows. And then finally, you can download the what framework, that is the cloud.md template, from the link in the description. Is free. Just when you open, VS Code, install Cloud Code, create your first project folder. It can be in any topic. Don't do newsletter, just say, because I give that example. You can do it on any type of workflow that you want to automate. All right. Pick something you do manually every week and try to automate it with this framework. So the skill builds fast once you start. Don't be afraid. You don't know anything, you don't know where to start. Just start by describing what you want to cloud code, and then that will help you. So thank you very much. Drop comment telling me what workflow you're going to build first, and then I'll read every single one of them. If you want my help, reach out to me, and I should be able to help you. And all of that is going to be for free. Thank you very much for joining to this session, and see you next time.